Welcome back to Fox Explainer. Today I'll explain the first part of the 2018 film Be With You. Spoilers ahead. If you would like to help feed my cat, subscribe to my channel. Watch out and take care. Cloudland is a place between heaven and earth where people stay until they are forgotten before going to heaven. Mommy Penguin cried every day as she looked down on earth, until 1 year later, when she secretly boarded the raindrop train and returned to earth to see her son. They hugged and played together. But when the rainy season came to an end, she had to catch the last raindrop or she wouldn't be able to return to Cloudland. Mother Penguin said goodbye to her son and returned, but she was no longer crying as she watched the little penguin's life on Earth. Yoon Jae-ho is reading this story from a book written for him by his now-deceased mother, I'm Sua. He's running away from her funeral, but he overhears some relatives say that the pregnancy made her weak. Jae-ho looks at a picture of his mother and tells her he'll see her again. A year later, Yoon Woo-jin is doing his best as a single father, despite the fact that his house is a shambles and he isn't the best cook. He gets up early to clean the pool where he works before returning home to make breakfast and help his child get ready for school, where he finds him sleeping inside his mother's wardrobe. Every morning, Woo-jin takes his medicine, and Jae-ho watches the weather forecast, eagerly anticipating the start of the rainy season. Woo-jin rides his bicycle to school with Jae-ho, despite his inability to ride fast. Then he goes to work, where one of his co-workers always keeps an eye on him and brings him coffee, making their boss, swimming instructor Choi, envious. After school, Jae-ho goes to stay at the bakery owned by Hong-gu, Woo Best-jin's friend and uncle to him. Today, Jae-ho arrives in a bad mood because his father is unable to run, and the school is hosting a special event in which students must team up with their fathers for a relay race. Hong-gu quickly resolves this by telling him he'll be the one racing instead, which Woo-jin appreciates when he comes by to pick up Jae-ho after work. When Woo-jin is about to leave the pool on race day, Choi stops him and asks him to change some light bulbs. Meanwhile, Jae-ho is told he can't race because Hong-gu isn't his father, but just as he's about to return their t-shirts, Woo-jin appears and tells him he'll race with him, thinking he'll be fine jogging. Jae-ho runs well in his half of the race, but when he hands the baton to his father, he looks sad because he knows they won't win. So Woo-jin runs seriously rather than jogging. He's actually doing well, but only at first. He passes out just as he's about to cross the finish line. Later, when he begins to feel better and the two of them return home, Jae-ho makes Woo-jin promise that he will never abandon him. He also wants to hang some blankets outside because it will rain, according to Hong-gu. When they wake up the next morning, it is raining, so Jae-ho rushes to the train station. Woo-jin follows him there, but no one is there, so he picks up Jae-ho and tries to take him home despite his protests. However, as they approach the tunnel, they notice a silhouette in the shadows. Woo-jin tries to be cautious, but Jae-ho isn't scared and runs toward the person, who turns out to be Sua. Jae-ho is delighted to see her, but Woo-jin is terrified, believing she is a ghost in reality. She is here, but she is suffering from amnesia and cannot recall anything. They return her home, where Jae-ho shows her a family photo to prove her identity as well as a welcome drawing he made for her. This makes Woo-jin nervous, so he takes Jae-ho to the restroom for a moment so they can talk privately. He believes they should not tell Sua she is dead because it would be too traumatic. Lying shouldn't be difficult because they haven't thrown away any of her belongings. But when they come out, Sua starts asking questions. She doesn't understand why she's being welcome if she lives here, and she doesn't understand how she could have allowed the house to become so dirty and messy. Woo-jin and Jae-ho concoct a lie on the spot, telling her she'd been in the hospital for a while and had just been released. They went for a walk today, and she was hit by a rock while playing hide and seek, causing her to pass out in the tunnel and lose her memory. Breakfast is made easier the next morning thanks to Sue's assistance. As Jae-ho is dropped off at school by Woo-jin, but as soon as he leaves, Jae-ho dashes back to his house to spend the day with his mother. Sua is going through her belongings and discovers a key, as well as her wedding ring, which she hides when Jae-ho arrives and informs her that his teacher is absent. The two of them spend the day playing various games, and Jae-ho is taken aback by his mother's strength. She's in much better shape now. Jaiho refuses to eat at dinner because he prefers his mother's cooking to his father's. To try to spite Woo advise Jin's to rest. Unfortunately, she's out of practice and can't get the sauce right. Woo Jin puts himself between her and the stove when the food she's frying in very hot oil starts popping off the pan, causing him to be burned instead. Suah takes a shower after putting Jaiho to bed, and Woo Jin takes advantage of the opportunity to take his medicine without her knowing. Suah then offers to apply the cream to Woo Burn Jin's marks and asks him to tell her the story of their relationship while she does so. They met in high school when they were in the same class. Suah was the best student, but Woo Jin was preoccupied with the swimming club, so he slept through most of his classes. He finally got to meet her properly one day during swimming class when he saved her from drowning, and he developed a crush on her that day. Because Hong-gu could tell that his friend liked Suah, he gave Woo Jin some advice on how to approach her. During their first summer break, Woo Jin tried to call her, but each time she answered the phone, he became nervous and hung up. He was drafted into the army after that, so he couldn't contact her for another 2 years. When he returned, he attempted to call her again, but Hong-gu prevented him from doing so this time. Woo Jin, on the other hand, instead of asking her out on a date, told her he needed her pen back, so they agreed to meet in front of their old school. They acted awkwardly around each other when they finally saw each other again, and Suah handed Woo Jin the pen before fleeing. The fact that she had left was the final push Woo Jin needed to ask her out, and they ended up going out to dinner. Their conversation was awkward there as well, but they eventually found a common ground and the evening went on without a hitch. Following that, they waited for their buses together, but neither of them wanted to leave just yet, so they waited in each other's company until the last one passed by, forcing Suah to leave, reminding Woo Jin that she wouldn't be back until winter break. Woo Jin, on the other hand, chased after her bus, climbed aboard, and asked if he could write her letters while she was in Seoul, to which she agreed. Back in the present, it's late, so they retire to their beds, with Woo Jin promising to continue the story another day. Jaiho overhears a classmate saying that it rains every time his father washes his car the next morning at school. Suah, on the other hand, decides to investigate the shack she comes across in the garden. She enters the shack and discovers that this is where she will make all of her crafts after opening it with the key she found when she arrived. Woo Jin goes to see Hong-gu after work because he was summoned by a phone call from him. He notices he is trying to set him up on a blind date when he gets there. Woo Jin tries to flee, but Hong-gu catches him and assumes he's already seeing someone, even suggesting Woo Jin shouldn't make up a lame excuse as Suah has returned. Woo Jin flees because it's too accurate and terrifying. Woo Jin tries to kick Hong-gu out before Suah notices him later that night dressed as a penguin to surprise Jaiho. Hong-gu, on the other hand, enters through a different door and sees Suah. He flees, thinking she's a ghost, vowing never to set Woo Jin up on another blind date. Suah then inquires about the rest of their relationship's backstory with Woo Jin. Woo Jin wrote to her, and the two of them went to the movies the next time they saw each other. When they were waiting for the bus, he tried to hold her hand but accidentally grabbed a guy's foot, so Suah got a little daring and put her hand in Woo Jacket Jin's pocket. Woo Jin quickly followed suit, keeping his hands in his pockets. In the present, the couple performs the same act. While Jaiho sleeps, Woo Jin takes Suah to the top of a hill for a picnic, to listen to the radio, and to watch a movie from a nearby drive-in theater through binoculars. She becomes so engrossed in the film that Woo Jin takes advantage of the opportunity to surprise her by kissing her. Suah settles into her routine after a few days. She looks for her family while also playing with Jaiho and keeping the house clean. She finds the penguin book as well, but she doesn't give it much thought. And when she sees Jaiho collecting 4-leaf clovers to wish for more rain, she adds some of her own without telling him, which he and Woo Jin notice. The family goes for an afternoon of fun at the river one day, and when they return home, Woo Jin carries them both. He makes it to the house, but he passes out as soon as he enters. He awakens in his bed, surrounded by Suah, who demands an explanation. Woo Jin decides to tell her the story by returning to their previous encounter. It all began after their third date, when Suah presented him with a clover charm to wish him luck at the national tryouts. He put in extra effort to not let her down, but he passed out in the middle of the pool one day during practice. Doctors said he had a problem in his brain that controlled hormones, and he could faint if he became nervous or strained. He had to leave the swimming team and had given up all hope of leading a normal life, so he ended his relationship with Suah without informing her of his illness. He still couldn't get over her after a year, so he went to Seoul to see her one last time. However, when he arrived at her university, he saw her getting into a car with another man, so he left without saying anything and dropped the clover charm to the ground. After that, he didn't try to contact her again, but months later, he couldn't take it any longer and went to the train station to hug Suah and listen to her say they were meant to be. He proposed to her shortly after, and she accepted despite her family's opposition to her abandoning her studies to become a housewife. The couple cuddles and falls asleep after the story is finally finished. Jae-ho informs his parents the next day that he will be performing with the choir at the school concert and invites Suah to join him. Jae-ho practices the song with his class at school, where they are required to share their future ambitions. As the fastest runner in his class, his ambition is to be a professional who wins an Olympic gold medal. Meanwhile, Suah discovers her old diary and discovers the truth about what happened to her, but she keeps it to herself and does not tell her family. Instead, she begins teaching Jae-ho how to do chores, wash cloths, and even cook basic meals so that he can assist his father around the house. Woo Jin has his own plans. He and Hong-gu have been covering the train tunnel in wood in the hopes of preventing her from returning to Klao. Everyone's mood isn't the best because the rainy search is about to end. Woo Jin receives a call from the mother of one of Jae classmates Ho's while he is at work one day. She discovered Jae-ho washing her car, but Jae-ho is adamant about not saying anything. Woo Jin apologizes to his son and becomes concerned when his mother tells him he needs therapy because not having his mother causes him emotional problems. Jae-ho finally admits he washed the car on the way home because his classmates said it would make it rain and his mother would stay longer if he did. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more and hit the like button to help me out, and also leave a comment if you want me to explain your favorite film. Until next time, take care.